Hello, Muse. It is I, again, me. I just got back from a very fast, very cold bike ride, so if my nose is a little red, that's why. Don't get any funny ideas, Muse. Actually, get plenty of funny ideas. Just give them to me in the form of ideas for books. Oh, that's not what I want to talk about. I don't want to talk about cold bike rides, my red nose, as in Rudolph the Red-Nosed. Never mind, forget it. It's not Christmas time yet. Nor do I want to talk about bikes. I do have something that I want to talk about, though. Otherwise, why would I be here? I want to talk about something that I don't think I've talked about yet with you, Muse. I want to talk about endings. No. I'm not talking about ending our relationship, because that'll never happen, even if I wanted it to, which I don't. Again, don't get any ideas. I want to talk about the endings of books. Why do I want to talk about this? Well, that's very simple. Because not last night, but the night before last, I finally finished that book, which has gone through 3 different titles. Remember? On the Lam, Beautiful Complication, and Hopetown. Yay, Hopetown. So it's finished. First draft is finished. And one of the reasons why I want to talk about endings is because as I was getting near the ending of this book, I had an idea of how I thought it would end, how I thought it should end. And the thing is that the characters and the story didn't seem to want to end. And I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean that they still had story to tell. Now, I'm a big proponent of authors not dictating when the story ends. I know that sounds a little crazy because the author is actually the one writing the book. But I want you to think about this. You are writing a book, you are writing a book about characters and about their lives and their world. You've built this incredible universe and you have populated it with fascinating characters. Those characters over time, actually, hopefully before time starts in your book, have developed a life. You have given them life and it develops. It evolves as you write the book. Characters tend to do that. As you write them into the book and have them navigate the waters of your universe, they evolve. And as they evolve, their story begins to unfold. And their story takes on a life of its own. And when writers tend to start dictating the story instead of the characters dictating the story, it does the characters and the overall arc of the story a disservice. And I know you can't step away from the laptop or the desktop or the pen and paper and the characters are going to write the stories themselves. They can't do that because they're not real. They might seem real. And I have plenty of characters in my head that seem real. In fact, there are plenty of times throughout my life where I have to stop and go, did that happen to me? Or did it happen to this character in one of my books? In fact, that just happened the other day. And it was a fascinating little moment. And I had to step back and go, wait, no. That happened in this book. So, as I was coming near the end of Hopetown, and I knew that I had to get from this point to this point, because this point was where I was fairly certain that I knew how I wanted this particular story to end. There was this hole. It was like, how do I get from point A to point B? Or point A to point Z, whatever you want to put it. And I finally just said, okay, I'm just going to do what I normally do and just say, characters, take over, write this story, write this ending, make sure that it is in line with everything else, because you're really good at that. And lo and behold, they did. And the characters, what's very interesting about it is that, but way back early in my, I'm sorry, I'm all over the place today. Way back early in my career, if you look at those early books, my chapters tended to be short, under 1,000 words usually. Now they tend to be longer, anywhere between 2,000 and 4,000 words, and I've had them go all the way up to 7,000 words, maybe even more. But I tend to like that length of chapter simply because it gives me, it doesn't, I don't rush, because I feel like each chapter in a book has a very specific purpose, and I feel like if I shorten those chapters, I rush that purpose. Now, here's where this gets really important. One of the biggest mistakes that writers make is they rush the endings of their books. And it's hard to judge, because everything is in your head. You know exactly how everything went. You have taken this journey with these characters, and it's time to end the book. And when you don't allow those characters to kind of take control and guide you through the end, you just want to get it over with, because you've spent X amount of time with this book. You've written X amount of words, and you are simply ready to move on. Now, I tend to be the opposite. I know that I'm inching towards the end of a book, and I in my head, I'm like, no, I don't want this to end. I'm having too much fun with these characters. I've given them life. I don't want to let go of them, so I tend to slow down. Like when I'm first writing a book, it's like brrr, banging out chapters, brrr, and then I get near the end, and it's like, brrr, let's jump on Google and search something. Brrr, brrr, back to the book. Let's go over to Twitter and say something inspiring to people. And then back to the book. Brrr, and that's how it goes. I start to procrastinate the end because I don't want to let these people go. And this time around, what very interesting thing happened is, because I knew how I wanted this book to end, there was this certain little moment that I knew, that I thought I was fairly certain would make for a perfect button on the end of this story. And I got to the end, and I realized that I had already built everything up to it, and it's like the button could happen very quickly. And to draw out that button would have been anticlimactic for the story. So you have all these 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 word chapters, and you get to the end, and it's probably not even 1,000 words. It's almost like an epilogue, because the main storyline to the book, to the story, is kind of wrapped up. But then I had this dangling thing over here that said, no, you've got to close this up, or the readers are going to be really pissed off. Not pissed off, maybe disappointed. So I buttoned it up very quickly. Now, I want to talk, that's kind of how I approach the end of books. But there's something really, truly, I believe, important to the ending of books that a lot of authors neglect. When we first embark on writing a story, sometimes we sit and we stare at the screen or the keyboard or whatever, and we know that we have to launch this book off perfectly. We have to capture their attention. If we don't capture their attention right away, they're going to be bored right off the bat. So we make sure that opening sentence, that opening paragraph, is absolutely spot on, delightful, lovely. It is that thing that will make everybody want to read this book. It's just like an audition. When you have 1 minute audition, you've got 10 seconds in that 1 minute audition to capture their attention. And if you do not, you've lost their attention and you've failed. So the opening of the book, it's the same thing. You've got to capture their attention in that first paragraph, in that first sentence, and make them go, ooh, this is something I want to read. Now, what happens to the end? especially if you're one of those writers that tend to rush the ending to get it over with. Everything just kind of peters out. Now, think about this. The last paragraph or the last sentence or even the last word, there's something hanging right there, the last word of this book is the last thing that those readers are going to remember. They're going to take that last paragraph or sentence away from this book. Do you really want them to take away what might be your least powerful or important sentence in the book? Do you want them to take that away? I don't think so. From my perspective, I tend to make sure that when I get to the end of a book, and I'm talking the last paragraph or sentence of a book, that I have something left to say. That not just me and my characters, usually the narrator or the main character, has something important left in the tank. And generally speaking, I like to make it something profound or something humorous or something that is going to haunt the readers. A lot of times I will spend a good amount of effort on that last sentence and make it a sentence that will stick in their heads, because you want to have the readers walk away and go, wow, I cannot get this out of my head. And I'm going to have to read more of this guy or this girl, this guy or this gal, this man or this woman, he or she or they or them. And so I tend to really massage that last bit and make it such that it will last. Make it haunting. Make that last tiny moment in that book something that they cannot let go, and that will make them continue wanting to read your book, and especially if this is a part of a series. You don't not necessarily want to make it a cliffhanger, but you want to make it a sentence, a paragraph that's going to entice the reader to want more. Even if it's not a series, even if it's just a one-off, make them want more of you. So don't skimp on that ending. Put as much effort on the last sentence as you did on the first sentence. And trust me, your work will be much better for it. Now, of course, that also doesn't talk to the middle, because you have to put as much effort into the middle as you do to the beginning and the end, but that's a different story altogether. But seriously, don't rush the endings. Don't blow off the endings. Make those endings count, because that's the last thing the readers are going to read in your book. Okay? And so now that Hopetown, the first draft, is done, I'm going to go over it. I'm going to give it one last pass, and then I'm going to send it off to beta readers and see what they think, and hopefully there won't be a lot of problems with it. I'm a little nervous about this one because it's territory that I haven't ever dealt with before. So I've got to get a number of beta readers. And then once the beta readers have given me their feedback and I put it into the book if necessary, then it'll go to my editor. And once it's off to the, actually once I get the first draft, I go through it one last pass and I send it off to the beta readers. Then I will start writing the new series for Devil Dog Press. Yeah, it's going to be exciting. That book, I've already told you about it. I'm not going to go on any more about it, but that's where I am. And I think I have a short story to write for an anthology. And I also have a really cool idea for a collection of short stories that I'm going to write. I'm not going to say anything about it because I don't want somebody to steal the idea, because I think it's a really cool idea. Muse, that was one that you gave me. Of course, you give me all of them. What am I thinking? Anyway, that's all I got, Muse. I'm going to go take a shower. because I am. I need to. Fortunately, this video is not scratch and sniff. If it were, nobody would be watching it. TMI, everybody. TM freaking I and Muse, you are awesome.